All right, you guys, so this is the UNG play, and if you've been following along, I've been in this for quite some time now. But recently, what I did was once we broke this trend line and broke to a low, I held to profit. But once we broke a lower low, once we broke this trend line, um, I was setting myself up to exit at neutral, exit at my entry, because we broke this trend line. So the idea is based on supply and demand. Really simple. In Europe, running into the winter, there was this question, would they have enough natural gas to make it through the winter? Winter turned out to be a little bit more mellow. The reserves held up. And so all the market for natural gas is priced in October, um, and running, and now they'll start to reprice natural gas in January. Okay. I knew that. And so what I knew then was that since we broke to this lower low, that I needed to reposition, right? I needed to take another look at this and see what was next, because I don't want to be too heavy and get caught on this very volatile trade where, as I've been saying, it's like the new Bitcoin, because that's 55% from bottom to top. That's the entire, and that's 68%, which is almost the entire bull run of the of Bitcoin within a 3-month period. Whatever. People don't feel me though. They don't understand what I'm talking about. Nonetheless, so what I knew was that with the new contracts coming up in January, we had made it through the potential crisis. They were going to start to reprice natural gas, and that's what happened here. Uh-oh. And I was under on this play quite a bit, but I knew that there would be a bounce, because there always is. And so we caught the bounce, and so what I did is repositioned. I sold right here probably last week, or I think this is probably last week or very recently. And I was kind of out of it. I was thinking, well, I don't want to get greedy, caught in the idea that somehow something's going to happen in the world that's going to set this price higher. So I exited, and I kind of just was like, I'm done with UNG. We'll do it again next year. However, over the past 24 hours, what you see is we saw this massive decline. So I was wise. I got out, and look at what happened next. Damn, dude. 27. I would have been down 25% if I hadn't applied my strategy there. So, all right. So, but over the past 24 hours, what happened was two things that are really important. This you can look up, but I just cut these out of the article. So this is over the weekend. Really important. Both of these are really important, but this one I would say more so. So Freeport, that's just a location where they produce natural gas. And in June, they had, if you look back, in June and July, let's go back, probably right around here. Yeah, you see June right here. Basically a pump went bad, right? So that sent the price, some of this is Ukraine, but then we got the second pump or second rally off of this news of the this pump going bad at Freeport, which was anticipated. Important. Past 24 hours, the Freeport natural gas line is not going to restart until the second half of January. Big deal. Okay. So you're at a low on the macro. If we go back and we look to why I'm doing this now, because this is one of those news-driven catalyst trades. Look at where you're at on the macro. These are December 19 levels. Okay, you had this big run up. December 19 level on the macro. Okay, and now in the past 24 hours, this ETF, which basically has huge gaps up and down. Over the weekend, this major supplier is not going to produce until the second half of January. Okay. This news alone, I've seen it move off of this, but not crazy. Like this was supposed to open at times in here, so that's where you'll see these big volume spikes when they keep pushing back the work and it's not gonna reopen. So this is news you could play, right? But I'm bringing this to your attention now, to the 4 people that listen, that along with that you have the production of heating and power generation fuel on Monday is seen as reaching 90 billion cubic feet, roughly 10% below normal. So also what happened, and the reason that happened is because with this Arctic blast, what happened was the actual natural gas pipelines froze, and that basically decreased the amount that they could supply by 10%, coupled with this. Okay, so that's something that's a news-driven catalyst that I'm thinking of getting into. The bummer is we could have traded it Friday, and I kind of had a feeling, but then there's all this other stuff going on with the Japanese yen, which I'll do a whole thing about that later. But most likely when the futures open up here, you got to watch these, because if this starts to gap higher, that means when UNG opens in the morning, you're going to get one of these gaps, and so you could miss the move. So what I might do is watch it tonight, and then I might have to cheat this a little bit, take a little bit of risk, and place an order at 1632, which I hate doing. But if this news plays out, then this thing's going to rip. And depending on how bad, I mean, 30%. So I'll take the risk on that for 30%, basically. And I would try to get out of it here, depending on news. I wouldn't expect it to continue higher. It'll have to clear that resistance, so then you would have another opportunity. What would probably happen is if you get the gap up in the morning, you might see something like this next day, and then you might get one of these, and then it kind of does this until the news is digested and the market decides what's next, you know. Anyway, just want to bring that to your attention that UNG is probably going to pop in the morning based on this. If this news had happened, it would have popped, but with this, and on top of it, demand just went up with this cold weather, which is not what people think. You wouldn't trade this. No one thinks about this shit but me, but you wouldn't trade this based on, oh yeah, we're going to have cold weather, right? And I tested that idea because I started to hear about this Arctic blast. I'm like, I wonder, I'm going to hold off and see, will this trade differently based on the weather when it's like short term like that? And it does not. It's sold off coming into this week. But these are production ideas. So we have less production. That's a supply squeeze, and you should see a move to the upside. All right, peace.